I absolutely love whenever you have a change in your life and the universe gives you a clear signal that it is exactly where you are meant to be. As you can tell, I'm in my new space. I've been here for approximately 2 days. This is officially the first podcast in my new space. And I'm happy to be here. And one sign that the universe gave me, and I've been receiving many, I just knew that this is exactly where I'm meant to be because it came with ease. It came with so much ease. But tell me why. In my old space, you guys never saw it, but if you follow me on social media, you saw it all the time. I had a long mirror, a standing mirror, placed up against an open window. And it was like that from the moment I moved in. I never once moved this mirror. I never once had any issues with this mirror. But I loved this mirror, and I always showed up in the mirror every single day. I danced in the mirror, I sang in the mirror, I cried in the mirror, I spoke in the mirror, I looked in the mirror, I talked to myself in the mirror. And as I was packing and leaving this space, I thanked that mirror. I said, thank you for showing me how valuable I am, and thank you for showing me my confidence. And I said goodbye to that mirror. And tell me why. The day after I moved out, this mirror fell over and shattered. And if that is not a more clear sign that that version of me no longer exists, I don't know what. And then just an hour after I received that information, my new roommate gives me a welcome gift, saying how happy she is that I'm here and that I'm just like a ball of sunshine and that she's so grateful that I moved in. And she gave me those flowers that are behind me and a few other snacks and goodies. But I was just like, wow. Because I already knew that this was a big shift. It really felt like a chapter was closing in my life. The first LA chapter. I've been here for 10 months now. This is officially my second official place that doesn't include a friend's couch. And the energy that has been pushed into this space and moved with this space, and the fact that that mirror shattered, I love signs from the universe like that. And they're so clear. And what I want to dive into today is a few things. Overall, I want to talk about staying grounded, setting specific intentions, and having zero expectations for how they play out. That is something that I've really been focusing on, implementing, and it's been so beautiful. It's been such a fun journey. But the first thing is staying grounded. Creating art is such a grounding practice if you choose for it to be that. I've been feeling a little chaotic. As we talked about in the last episode, moving is a lot. It's shifting your entire routines. It's shifting your entire life, your entire space, your entire environment, and moving it somewhere new. And so whenever you're doing that, it's super important to find things that ground you. And for me, I find this podcast to be very grounding. Just being able to sit in this space, connect with myself, reflect, and share and inspire in some shape or form. That is a very grounding practice for me. And no matter what you're going through in your life, maybe you just had a big move as well, or a change of job, or just little changes in your life. Maybe some people are moving around, maybe some friends are shifting. A lot of energy is shifting. We know this. So what practices do you have to keep yourself grounded? Because it's super important to do that. And tying into my other topics for today of setting specific intentions, this is definitely something that we've spoken on before, but what I mean by setting specific intentions is just getting really, really clear on what it is that you want from life. It can be something really small, it could be something big, or it could be life-changing. But just getting so specific to the exact details of what it is that you want, how it makes you feel, what do you look like, what does it look like, what is the environment like, who's around, what are you seeing, who do you embody to get that? Getting super specific on all of it. And for me, for example, the space. I wanted more feminine energy in my life. Now I have female roommates. I wanted a place to be able to go out and meditate. Now I have a backyard. I wanted a safer environment. Now I have a nice neighborhood to go walk around. I got specific on what it is that I wanted in my life, but I had zero expectations on how or where it was going to play out. And having expectations in life can really keep you stuck. It keeps you in a very closed space, because there's a difference between having intention and knowing what you want, and then having expectations of how life is going to give it to you. You can't control life. No matter how hard you try, you will never be able to control life. The only thing that you can control is, one, how you're showing up in life, and two, having a clear vision, having clear intentions, having clear ideas of what it is that you want, but having zero expectations of how you're going to get it or how it's going to play out. Because by having zero expectations, you are giving life full power to do what it does best, which is give you amazing opportunities and endless possibilities to receive what it is that you want. For example, I wanted to be on set more, and then at these workouts, someone that I admire just happens to be like, Maggie, let me help you out with that. And the next thing you know, I'm on set more. Did I expect it to happen that way? Absolutely not. Did I know I was going to end up on set more? Absolutely. Did I know what sets? No. Did I know where? No. Am I grateful that it's at Warner Brothers? Absolutely. Am I grateful that it happened through somebody that I appreciate? Absolutely. But did I expect any of that? No. And that's the thing. I had the intention and the goal. I want to be on set more. I want to work more jobs. I want to work on the big studios. I want to work on the big shows. That was my goal. That was my focus. That was my intention. And I just put it out there. And the world gave it back. And blessed me so much. Because I love the show that I'm working on right now. And we're starting off as background. But hey, we all have to start somewhere. And truthfully, I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity to be background. especially on this big production. It's a Netflix show, and I absolutely love it because I'm getting to observe all of these lead actors on this big show and just how they're staying connected to themselves. Like, just literally watching them sit off, like, in the distance, headphones in, focused, and then they just come in, do their scene, and just like hearing all the production cues and how everything runs, and it's amazing. And also, one thing that I had mentioned before is how anxious I got on set the first time that I went. And I went in, I visualized, I set my intentions, but being there made me super anxious because it was a new environment, it was a new experience. I've been on set a lot, but like that was the biggest production I've ever been on. And so it definitely caused a lot of anxiety for me. But just even the second time, I was able to really like hone that in and regulate and stay connected. And just anytime that I started feeling anxious, I would just remind myself, like, Maggie, there are no expectations of anything that you need to be doing right now, except for doing what they told you to do. But there's no expectations of who you need to show up as. How can I say this better? There's no expectations of being anything else than what I already am. There are no expectations of being anything else than what I already am, especially as background. Like, I have a role, I have an action to do, but I don't have a character to portray. I'm just doing an action. I don't have lines. I'm not embodying anything. I'm just sitting at a cafe or walking across the screen. And so just calming myself and reminding myself, like, I just get to show up as exactly who I am. And that is perfect. That is perfect. That is what they want. They want me to be me. There's no expectations of being more than what I am. And this also plays into me just getting to know myself more on set. I enjoy talking to everybody. And because I'm regularly on set now, and it's a very consistent thing in my life, I'm getting more familiar with how I want to show up more. And one intention that I have is to like actually make connections, not only with the people working, but with the other background and like the other extras and like my coworkers per se. And not just sitting on my phone or just keeping to myself. Like, I bring a book, I bring a journal, and I'll take some time to do that. But like actually having conversations, getting to know people, and I just have so many conversations about consciousness, and I love it so much. But doing that, and also another thing is gaining discipline around all those snacks, because they feed us. We're there for 8 hours. They have to feed us. Like, they offer so many unhealthy snacks, and so I'm really trying to gain the discipline of I don't need them. It's so hard to not eat a snack whenever it's offered to you for free right in front of you, but it's like, if I'm going to be on set consistently, and I am, I don't always need the snack, or I can just bring my own. I had like 6 oranges, so I just kept eating the oranges, which was really good. Just staying hydrated. But he was like, I had the blueberry muffin. I had the protein bar with these fucking seed oils and shit. Because, they can't get all the perfect ones. Because I ate the healthy ones already. So all the ones that are left are the unhealthy ones. And so, really gaining discipline with that. But I'm just really enjoying life. And I know that my life is shifting a lot in a lot of ways, and it's giving me the opportunities to really level up in the ways that I've been asking for and the ways that I've been wanting. And I've just been opening my mind to see these new opportunities as that. And it's been really beautiful. I feel myself shifting a lot, and I am excited for where this podcast is headed, and we're almost at 100 episodes. Y'all, we're almost at 100 episodes. I've almost been doing this for 2 years. This is the most dedicated I've ever been to anything in my life. I'm proud of that. That's like amazing. That's really amazing. Especially like, let's just take a moment to celebrate the weekly episodes. We're almost at 100, and I'm gonna throw myself a little celebration party and get myself a cake and hang out with my friends, and I'm really excited for that. I need to plan that. But I feel like, I really don't have too much to say today. This is more of just like we're checking in, we're staying grounded, we're in the new space, and just a reminder of, you will know when your timeline is shifting, as in, you will know whenever your prayers have been answered, and the things that you've been asking for and been putting in so much work for are finally being given to you. Slowly but surely, you will know, and you will feel it, and you will get clear signs, like a fucking mirror shattering the day after you move out of a place. I just still can't get over that. I think it's really funny, because like, the fact that I literally said goodbye to this mirror and thanked it, and then it shatters. I love it so much. I love life for those moments. Let's focus on the intentions for this new change, and what my intentions actually are. Something I've been really focusing on is just really giving myself high quality love and treatment and care. For example, very intentionally washing my face every single day. That's something I've always been back and forth with, because in my mind I'm like, do I really need to wash it every single day? Ever since I actually started doing that, because I was like, you know what, let me just try it out. Let me just see what happens. And my skin has been really clear and glowing, so I recommend. And I'm using my all natural products, which I love. There is a dog next door who likes to bark out the window right next to my room. It's a little pug. It's a fat pug, actually. He's cute, but maybe there is still noise. I'm kind of just accepted that, like, my podcast has background noise. Unwanted background noise. But my intentions, really caring for my skin, really caring for my hair, caring for my body, and smelling good. I'm getting back into my perfumes, because I have 2 scents that I really like, and I haven't had them in a while, and so I'm getting those for myself again, just so I can have, signature things. Like, I have the hair, but I want a signature scent. I really want to be one of the people in the world that just always smells so good. And it's not that I smell bad. It's not that I smell dirty. I'm clean and I smell fine. But I want to be like, she smells so good. Like everybody says about Rihanna. I want to be one of those girls. I want to be one of those girls. That's one of my intentions. And I can absolutely make it happen. Just wearing my perfume and putting my body oils on, my essential oils, and putting scent in my hair, being a girl, being girly, really in the feminine. But like, men, y'all should smell good too, because like, we love it. Everybody should smell good. You should want to smell good. In whatever way you choose to do that, you should want to smell good. Yeah, just being super intentional with life And, I'm really just at a point of just planting new seeds. Also going into the having no expectations. One thing that I do a lot is I will just put myself out there. I'll just apply for jobs, whether it's gig work or not. I'm constantly applying for things, and I just submit. Sometimes I submit to things that are like on the same days, and I'm just like, all right, whichever one gets back to me, that's what I'm doing. The no expectations. It's like I'm just gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna keep planting these seeds, and whether it's just having new conversations or meeting new people or working new gigs and just trying new things, like every action that you take is just planting a new seed for a potential opportunity to come your way. Every single time that you try something new or talk to somebody new or have new conversations or start new ideas, you're letting the universe know, hey, I'm interested in this thing. Send some more things like this my way. Send some more opportunities like this my way. And I'm in the mindset of like, I'm going to dabble in a lot of things. And whatever opportunities come first, that's just what I'm meant to dabble in right now. The podcast is consistent, but it's like, I've been going back and forth on like, okay, modeling, okay, acting. And it's like, I'm putting myself out there for both. But it's like whichever opportunity comes, that's what I'm focused on. And it's like, that's just a consistent back and forth. Like, we're modeling, we're acting, we're modeling, we're acting. And I love it. I love it so much. And I love being on set. And I feel like this podcast is kind of like, woo, all over. I feel like we got the general idea. Of just being intentional and staying grounded and having no expectations on anything. And just living your life and being grateful and having compassion. One thing I do want to touch on. I have been called to speak on this. And I was thinking about making this the whole episode, but I don't think that was needed, but I do want to speak on it. Something that I've experienced recently. So, back when I recorded the episode, Be the Hummingbird, and I had that reading done. When I was in that reading, it was clear that something was going to occur. Some type of accident was going to occur in my life, and I knew this before I went into the reading. My astrology app told me that an accident was gonna occur in some form, and then as I was getting the reading, he said, yeah, I can see that something is coming, I just don't know what. And of course you take all of these things with grains of salt, because life is funny. And, it could be like an accident's coming and then you just cut your finger on a piece of paper and that's, that was an accident. Accidents, there's a wide variety of what an accident could be. It could be like, accident, oh, you're dead, or accident, oh, my finger's cut, wide range. So I was like, okay, I don't want to find out the hard way. And so to avoid this, I was asked to go to a specific church here in LA and go in, light a candle, and say a prayer. And me and churches have very interesting relationship. I went to church kind of when I was younger, and I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to be there. I never enjoyed it. I slept in church. And so I was asked to go to a Russian Orthodox church, which I don't speak Russian at all. And so, of course, that's very interesting. I go in, they're doing the whole ceremony in Russian. and this guy gives me a sheet of their information, and it's in Russian. Obviously, I can't read that. But anyways, I didn't know what this was going to do for me, but I was just trusting. I was like, okay, I've been asked to go to this church, and it took me almost a month to get there, because I went 3 different times, and the church was closed, because I tried to look up the hours, I couldn't find it, thought I found the hours, tried to go on those hours, and then it just didn't, it wasn't, obviously they weren't open. But then I tried again. I was like, okay, let me just go on a Sunday, because I didn't want to go on a Sunday morning. I didn't want to go in the whole main session. I wanted to avoid that. I was like, let me just go on a random Tuesday night or something, but they weren't open. So I went on a Sunday morning, and again, I didn't know what this intention was. I didn't know why I needed to be here. I didn't ask too many questions. I was just like, you know what? Okay. If this is going to help me avoid whatever accident may be coming, I'm going to do it. And so I went in. I was so anxious the whole time. I'm like, I felt so uncomfortable, because I'm like, I don't like churches really. And I don't know anybody here. I don't know Russian. Everyone knows that I don't go here. And so I was just literally standing in the corner, chose the most corner spot to burn this candle, and just stood there very awkwardly and said a prayer to myself, and did the heart cross. I don't even know if I did that properly. I was just watching a couple people do it. I was like, okay, I think I can do that. It was funny. It was really funny, but it was very I was very anxious, very nervous, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but let me just pretend like I know what I'm doing, because this is not what we're all doing. We're just pretending. But then, let me tell you, the whole time I was on the way there, the whole month before going there, and as I was there, so confused, no idea. I was like, okay, let me just come in, say a prayer. Don't really know what this is for. Obviously saying prayers are good, but I didn't know what the intention was. On the way home, I got a very, very clear message, and I knew instantly what it was for. And what this message was to be very specific on who I am asking for divine guidance from. Because as I mentioned, me and the church always had an interesting relationship. I'm not religious. I will never claim to be religious. I'm a spiritual being. I'm a human being. My religion is love. That is what I say. And so, because of that, I always spoke to the universe. The universe answers my prayers. Thank you, universe. Thank you for all these blessings from the universe. But what I didn't realize, and maybe, I don't know, I'm really feeling called to speak on this, so whoever this is for, maybe you need to hear this. Whenever you're speaking to just the universe, you have to realize that you are speaking to all of the energy, all of the spirits. And you know what that means is you're speaking to the good and the bad, the light and the dark energy. If you are simply just speaking and thinking and asking for guidance from the universe, that is simply opening up, anybody in the universe, give me some guidance. And it's anybody can answer that. Any light, any dark, anybody can answer that. And so, as I was on my way home, I got a very specific message, Maggie, you have been asking for guidance from everything, from the light and the dark, and no wonder why your life feels so chaotic, because you've been receiving answers from both. You've been receiving guidance from both. And so I was asked to get very specific. You need to choose and be more clear on what type of guidance you want. And so I still don't claim religion. I'm not religious. I'm still the exact same person. But it became very clear to me that I needed to thank God. And God has many different forms. I don't have a specific form that I speak to. Just God as a whole, God as the power. But when you specifically use the word God, it is very clear to the energy, to the world, that you want light, you want love, you want the high virtues in your guidance. And ever since then, ever since I started implementing that, life has been a lot more clear. Life has been a lot more ease, filled with a lot more ease. And again, I was just really feeling called to speak on that, because I think it's important, and I think a lot of us are very confused on religion, and very confused on the higher power, and very confused on the divine source, what it is. But we know something's there, and some of us refuse to believe that, and that's okay. But you have to be aware of what you might be doing and who you might be calling out to, because I was not. I have been speaking to the universe for like 5 years, and let me tell you, ever since now, it's like, that makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And so just get clear, it does not have to be God. Whoever you want to speak to, if you want the dark energy, hey man, I'm not here to judge. I just want you to be aware of who you're asking from, what type of guidance. And so I've got specific, and life got a lot more clear. And for those that needed to hear this, I hope that life gets more clear for you as well, and it brings more ease into your life. And of course, I still speak to the universe as well, but I'm very intentional with it now on what type of guidance I want. But anyways, it's 4:44. I think it's time to end this. I love you guys, and I appreciate you, and I hope to see you back next Thursday. Almost for episode 100. And just remember to have zero expectations and keep asking for exactly what you want, because you're so deserving of all of it.